Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of the Indie Show. We are finally, as we were just joking about backstage, doing Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume 10, which is issues 109 through 120. And yeah, so I'm going to just bring the guys in because we were going to talk about this weeks ago. So let's get started. So we got my man Unruly. What's going on?
What's up?
So you are home, which is rare for you on the middle of a week. So are you enjoying that, being home today?
Today was a series of interspersed naps and reading.
Nice. Nothing wrong with a day like that. Nothing wrong with that. We got my man Daymares. What is going on, Adam?
Not too bad. Probably not as good as Unruly's, but
I know.
That's like the perfect day.
That is kind of the perfect day. Did a little bit of that yesterday, but not to that. Not to. I didn't ever get a nap, so yeah. But so I'm a little jealous of that. And last but not least, we got my man Kirk. Coach on my shift. What is going on?
I'm doing pretty good. I did have a nap earlier as well, so I am in that
I'm jealous.
smooth mood.
No,
I'm doing good though.
I am, in the middle of conference planning.
Oh.
So yeah, we won't talk about that. We're gonna talk.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Invincible.
If the two greatest words in the English language are open bar, then the two worst words in the English language have to be conference planning.
Well, you know what? We're gonna have open bar at the mixer, so there you go.
Awesome.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah, so there you go.
Kind of evens out. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we are having nap chat nights, for instance. There you go. GTK, what's going on? So I feel like I say this every time we do this, but man, Kirkman just like shoves crap into these. Now, of course, part of that is we're reading it as Kirk just held up. He's got like 2 volumes. We're reading multiple volumes at a time, but by doing it this approach. But holy moly, the first couple chapters in this are just insane. So for those who don't know, we're at issues 109 through 120 of 140 some odd, I forget now. Issues of Invincible is where we're discussing tonight. And we had a cliffhanger where we left off before, which was Mark getting left in another dimension by robots, being betrayed and left. So what did you guys think of his, how he sort of gets out of this bad situation of the dead doppelganger and like his quick thinking? What did you think about that? Daymares, you're making faces down there.
Well, no, it really surprised me. I was like, well done, you know. I never thought about anything like that, you know.
You know, I did not either. I was a little I was kind of surprised he came up with that quickly on the fly. What about you, Kirk? What did you think, man?
I thought it was hilarious. He even put it on like super thick because it's like people are like reacting like, "What's wrong with you?" And even going back to like how that multiversal character was, he was more like a chill back. I got clones around me kind of person. I didn't think he was going to be like super evil. So
Yeah,
I think kind of Mark put it on a little too thick.
maybe a little. I would agree with that because he definitely went to the angry, I'm in charge, I'm the boss. Like
I liked it. He was like all up in his face, like, "Do I gotta give you a response?"
Well, you know, he was bluffing hard. What did you think about this, Unruly?
Listen, at this point, how many times has Mark or his dad been stranded in another dimension? And they always figure out a way to get back home. Yeah. The only thing I've got an issue with is, okay, yeah, he could switch costumes with the dead squishy guy real quick, but how did he achieve the mohawk?
Did you not see?
No.
So go to the page where he shows up in the thing, and you see there's like extra hair. Hang on, let me make this bigger. You see there's extra hair on the side of his head, and then in the panel down here, you see him rip it out.
Yeah, he just basically
like you realize he didn't get all of it.
He must be able to grow his hair back like Superman, like that.
But like, no, he just ripped it out to get the mohawk.
All right, I'm still not buying.
But I do love his expression when he's flying away, and he's like, his little woo, like, oh, they
One
bought
before
it.
that, whatever, he's looking over his shoulder, like, or did I lose him?
It's like, did they buy
Did
it?
it work? Do they see me?
And so, what do you think about him then seeking out the guy who just betrayed him, the other universe version of the guy who just betrayed him?
And what I love is when he confronts him in this universe, Robot seen Invincible kill all his friends, but after a couple of minutes, they're just talking and making plans because that's how weird their fucking lives are.
Yeah, like he totally despises. Oh, you're from another dimension, aren't you? Like, yeah, I love it.
Because
Stop. I'm from another dimension. Very well. Talk.
Yeah.
Like,
You got 10 seconds.
because his logic was pretty sound. It's like, if I knew where he was at, do you think I would have just came here, all alone? Or
yeah.
We would have came in with the whole army.
Well, he wouldn't have came. He would have sent his army. He wouldn't have come. So
Yeah.
But it's a smart plan. I mean, it's a quick and smart plan. He doesn't know if he can trust this version of Robot or not, but he knows he's probably the only one that can get him. Can create the device he needs.
Yeah.
For sure. And we do get, and then the next thing we get is a return of one of the Mahler twins, or of Mahler by himself, I guess, from another dimension.
Everybody hates him.
But I mean, they basically just recreate to get Robot to help him. He recreates Robot's plan from another dimension with the cloning and everything else. So, what did you guys? I mean, what did you think of Mark's plan here? I thought it was actually pretty clever for Mark. I'm not gonna lie.
He's getting smarter. I mean, that's something I'm really noticing. Like, me and Daymare's got the Omnis, and this third Omni, I'm really noticing Mark is starting to. He's still impetuous and impulsive, but he's actually starting to think a little.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, it was the opposite. I actually think this plan's going to blow up in his face. I don't know. I haven't read the other volumes afterwards, but I mean, giving Robot the power. Well, I'm jumping a little bit.
Yeah.
Ahead,
well, go ahead. Yeah, we're right here. So say it.
Yeah, but giving Robot the power of like a clone of Invincible, like that seems insane. But this is a different robot. It's not the same robot that went to that other dimension and wants to be like a, controlling of a planet. Overlord. Overlord. Thank you. I was gonna say dictator, but that's too small.
But I have to agree. Like, I think it's a very clever plan. But like, he does an alternate version of the guy who just betrayed him. He gives his power to. Like,
yep.
So I don't know. We'll see if that comes back to bite him or not. But
kind of short term, thinking.
It is very short-term thinking.
I mean, but he is looking at how can I get myself back.
He's got to think on the fly, yeah.
That's the main thing in his head, and he's hoping that everything goes well, and probably maybe not thinking it all the way through. But his main thing is, how do I get back?
Yeah. I mean, it's very much this is my goal, and I'm going to do what it takes, and might come back to haunt me, but I'm not worried about it. It might, in theory.
I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, we'll deal with that later. In theory, this robot will be a better ruler here than the alternate version of me was, hopefully. It's basically what he's going for.
Well, he's probably not going to be any worse.
Probably not. This is true. So what did we think of the reveal of what happens to Monster Girl if Robot hadn't have stopped her from de-aging?
I know, man. I mean, how much more?
Oh,
She's got.
so that's-
She looks like she's less than a year old.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's
So yeah, she's a baby, but like she turns into like. I love how they're
A
like, "There's nothing we
gigantic
can do." They
monster.
brought the monster. Yeah, there she is. Like
she's like the size of Godzilla.
she's a kaiju, man. At this
Yeah,
point,
basically.
Yeah.
she's full on. Like there's the bridge. It's just
Yeah, she's definitely under a year.
yeah.
She's just got like 4 teeth total, 2 on each.
And I love how, like, no, which we'll see, you know, not out of character for Anissa. She just, like, launches her down, like, oh, she's like, oh, I got this baby. Let me just throw it so it'll turn into a monster.
Make my monster grow.
But the last time we unleash this beast, I'm not sure we'll be able to contain it. And the broad's like, it'll leave a long path of destruction, but it will tire and it will slumber. They really
Monster wants
don't
food.
care.
They do not. Well, even at the end, you see that she's down there just destroying stuff, and they're all just like flying up above, like, yeah, we'll deal with that later.
That's the humans' thing to worry about.
But overall, Mark's plan sort of worked. I mean, it works in the.
I mean, he made it back.
It does allow him to get home. So
It's like a line of disappointment just happens as soon as he enters, though.
Oh my god.
And trauma. Jesus.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 110, which is. So I knew this had been spoiled for me even before I started the series.
Was it for me? I was not expecting. I was not expecting this.
Okay, like I had doing the look back list. This book had been on the list. Like
that's what my homie was
when
telling
the
me.
show came out. Like this book got a renewed interest and was on the list. So just talking about it, like it was impossible to talk about it and avoid the spoiler here on this particular book. But it starts with him getting back and Eve not wanting anything to do with him.
Get out of my life.
And she's kind of justified. I mean, she warned him over and over again, don't do this. Don't go after Angstrom Levi. Don't. It's not necessary. It's pointless. What did you think about her reaction before we get to the controversial part of this issue? Let's start with Unruly this time. What did you think about her reaction to him coming home?
Perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
She begged him not to go, to begin with, and now he's been gone most of her pregnancy.
Yeah.
I can understand her being pissed.
No, she is. Yeah, he's been gone for months. I love her reaction when he comes in. I'm sure you're upset. Or wait, how does he say it? Like, oh, Eve, you're probably mad. It's like
very nonchalant kind of like response. Like,
probably
mad.
Reaction of probably mad.
Probably. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, that's basically where she's at. She's not even like. Well, it's always what they say when your folks are, when you're a kid and your dad's like when they don't even yell.
Having a disagreement.
Yeah. Like they don't even like your parents though when you do something and they don't even yell at you. It's just like the disappointment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's where she's at. She's just like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. You can't even make me mad at this point. It's just.
I mean, she mourned him. Like she even said, like she mourned him. I thought maybe you would come back, but like after a couple months, she was like, I'm done.
Yeah. So what do you think of this? Her reaction there at Daymare?
I'm gonna understand it. There's a lot to process there. I think she went a little overboard and not wanting to listen to him at all.
No,
but I can understand being that mad in the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was just trying to protect her at that point, even though she's like, even though he's like, okay, I'll leave. Just know, I want to make sure you're safe.
And then, go ahead.
No, that was it for me.
Oh, I thought somebody else started to say something. Guess not. Okay. So then we get, the his other female admirer shows up as he's leaving. And talk about the worst, or I guess in her case, maybe the best possible timing to like try this, but like, because he's just an emotional wreck at the moment. Like, and when she does this, and she's decided that, okay, if she has to have offspring, then Mark's the guy, whether Mark is willing or not.
I choose you.
Yeah. And I love how she's like, when he's like, no, and she's like, oh, I was going to try this, do this the human way, but the Viltrumite way is so much better. And she just starts like,
Jesus. I don't want to be on Viltrumite.
So, what did you guys think about this? Because this is curious. Because they don't typically put this kind of thing in a book, like in comics, very often. And B, this is the alternate of what you typically think of when you think of rape. This is the woman forcing herself on a man. What did you guys think about how they handled this and how they pulled this together? And we'll talk about like the aftermath as we go through this book, because there's a lot of it. But what did you guys think reading this? Kirk, you said this was a surprise to you. What did you think?
Yeah, I definitely was not expecting this, but I definitely thought it was an interesting take, because you definitely don't hear stories of rape from the side of a man's perspective, So I think it was done well, but it still shocked me. I think the trauma behind the after effects was definitely it was written well, like the trauma. I definitely was not expecting it.
No, keep it real. I mean, like I said, it was spoiled for me, but so I was expecting it, but I still think it was handled better than I wasn't sure how it would be handled, and I thought it was handled pretty well. What about you, Adam? Did you know this was coming or not?
I knew that it, was going to happen, because I'd, heard about the issue and it going up and everything. But I didn't know how it would happen. And it was, I hate to say, nice to see the effect, after effects shown.
Yeah.
But, at least it wasn't just sort of brushed under the rug.
Yeah, because nobody really talks about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say, that the after effects were good, is what I was trying to.
Right, but
I know what you
showed it was, realistic,
Yeah. I will say, because to me, I think that's one of the big difference between this and the Nightwing story, which is the other one that people talk about, where a similar situation is that, like, he deals with it for basically a story arc or so, but it kind of just longer term, they just kind of drop it. I don't know that they deal with it quite as well as they deal with it here, like the aftermath. What about you, Unruly? This is your third time reading this part of the story, I guess. Is that?
Yeah.
So what did you think about it on a reread here after years of being away from it?
It would, I know there's a certain faction of people that would believe the physiological reaction he has wouldn't happen. But when you're exerting yourself, it's not uncommon when you're in that kind of struggle for Mr. Happy to rear his ugly head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not unbelievable for me. And I think they broke it down in the art really well, the actual scene itself. But you're right. As we get further into the story, we'll see his reaction to it and hers, because, or her non-reaction.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
And
she did not.
She doesn't care. That's their culture. It's like you said, well, let's do this the Voltrumite way. I mean,
I'm surprised.
Strongest
I'm
wins,
surprised. I'm
basically.
surprised his pops didn't pick up on it.
You know, yeah, his dad was a little. When she like shows up later, his dad's a little slow to realize that.
And he usually is pretty observant. I'll give him that when it comes to just behaviors, especially when it comes to his son.
Generally, he's a little. I mean, a little not quite so clueless as he was here.
Yeah.
So, you guys got anything else you want to talk about this, or we want to move on?
Let me see.
Oh, and meanwhile, Mark's very bad day is about to get even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark is having not a good day. He got to come home, but it was he got dumped, he got raped, and then he's gonna basically try to stop Robot from taking over the world, and that doesn't go so well either.
No.
What's going on?
One thing I thought was interesting to pull it back just a little bit is, you know, whenever he wakes up in the crater and everything, I just find it kind of almost, you know, Superman-esque.
Oh yeah, they clearly that image of him in the
yeah.
That's
I
clearly
saw that, you know, and I was just like, that, you know, my
the
son's
farm
about your
ground
age. It's in the
underneath
farmers, you know.
Yeah.
You don't look like an alien, you know.
Yeah. You know, my son's about your size. You know, there's clearly a little the Kansas farm ground because really he was flying from his house to where she accosted him in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a Superman vibe going on there. But then he gets to the Pentagon and gets a new costume, and so was anybody else a little surprised that Cecil pretty much believed him right off the bat?
I think Cecil maybe not necessarily believed him, but Cecil's good at playing whatever he needs to play.
Yeah, both sides basically.
For sure. Cecil's always going to take the cautious approach for the most part. He's going to try to like make sure he stays where he needs to be.
But that ended up screwing him over, though.
That did not work out so well as Robot pretty much was prepared to take care of Cecil and did. I mean, yeah, there you go.
You know, Cecil had to know something was a little bit up whenever Mark showed back up and actually told him that he had died.
This
Good
is true.
point.
Yeah. I mean, the only question he has is, are you sure you're in the right universe? You know, it's really like, are you really our Mark? And not a different version. So.
But I like, you know, he was like, I believe your story, but I've got to tell you, it's given no signs whatsoever that he's planning anything. You know, so.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll check it out. But, you know.
And then Sis Boom Ba, freaking Cecil's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little shocking to me as well that they took. But if Robot's going to do this, he almost had to. I mean.
Cecil Cecil wouldn't have took that.
Cecil was his biggest threat. Like, even if Cecil hadn't like started to side with Mark here, I'm pretty sure Robot's first item on the list was going to be kill Cecil no matter what. Like when he goes to do this, even if the timing was later, as he says, well, this is a little early, but here we go.
And what gets me is Robot didn't even think to try and present a plan to Cecil and say, look, don't you think this would have been accomplished a lot easier with Cecil on his side?
You would think so, but here's the thing. And this is Robot's ego, is if he presents a plan to Cecil, then Cecil's probably still in charge. Like, we're gonna use your plan, just like how other people got credit for it. He couldn't stand that other people were getting credit.
When he came back from that other dimension. Yeah.
Like he couldn't stand it that he wasn't getting all the credit for the moon, like the moon bases and everything dealing with the tides.
Right. So then you're right. It is an ego thing.
Oh, it's all about the ego here for Robot.
Yeah.
And then, I
It's
mean,
like-
he immediately goes to, okay, Mark, you're not going to cooperate. I'm going to go after Eve, who's his friend. Like, the man has no, like,
Well,
nothing
you
he
saw,
won't do right here.
you saw what he did to her. Like, this
I
was
mean, it's a
cold blooded
pregnant
right
woman.
here.
And he just
This
is
was-
like, yeah.
Yeah, this was cold blooded right here.
Yeah.
So
He didn't
I had
even
a
have to
spoiler
do-
that something happened to her like that because
Yeah.
I ended up with some action figures that she has a robotic leg, so I knew.
You're like, oh.
Oh, I didn't even peep that.
So,
You know, that I was not expecting. I did not know that happened. So I knew
I had
about
no clue when it would happen,
Yeah.
but
Or
I
who
knew
would do
that.
it or how. Yeah.
But I find it ironic because right after he did that, he's like trying to check up on her. Like, is she okay?
Well, well, yeah, he tries to, like, when he's like presenting. So after they basically escape, and yeah, when he's presenting his case to Nolan later, like, yeah, he's like, oh, is she okay? And like, he's such a disconnected.
A wanker is the word.
Yeah, I mean, but it kind of shows that he does have some kind of emotion. Like, unfortunately, his logic is superior over
Yeah.
his choices. But like, he has some kind of emotion. There's emotion there, but it's just messed up because like he's a very logical person, and it does make him emotionless sometimes when he makes decisions.
I mean, and then when we see him finally, because it's been all his drones that we're dealing with all the time, and you see,
Yeah.
him, and I just love the dialogue here. It's like, he's just thinking about how could I have been so foolish? I knew he'd faint his way back. It's only going to get. It's only going to get more people killed. I was merciful, and now it's only going to get more people killed. Thought I'd have more time. Oh well, let the slaughter begin. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, and he goes on slaughtering.
He does it. It's just like, yeah, whatever. I guess I'll kill a bunch.
Yeah. So messed up. And then the slaughter begins because he murders so many people.
Yeah, even Mark run to Dad to try to save her, but then we got a full on.
Cecil's like next in command. He gets
Well, he was already like a cyborg anyway, so he just gets reduced to a head, but
or part of a head.
Part of a head. I mean, you see, Robot. He's been planning this. He's got a bunch of drones ready to go. Like he's ready, and was it Black Samson? He just walks in and just blow. I mean, he's just like, "Hey, my friend," and then he just blows him away, and it's just like, yeah. Meanwhile, he's doing this. Meanwhile, he's totally just distracting her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about his, as he's carrying out his plan, describing it to her to try to get her on his side? What do you think about that, Unruly?
That just shows you how disconnected he is. How, it's obviously ego, and he's just, who knows what living 1,000 years, especially with his intellect, would do to a human.
Yeah.
He's just not thinking.
Is he even human anymore? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go back to even the beginning when he was the thing in the jar, and he just befriends Rex, and then he just steals his body. Like, he just clones him to oh, you're a good looking guy. I think I'll steal your body.
It was all an ends to a mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's attracted to you. Well, I'm going to steal your body, so she'll be attracted to me. And, yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, it is the slaughter is just brutal. We see the some of these characters, I don't know, clearly were other.
Well, that's the Martian from Mars, right?
Yeah, the Martian guy. We see, that he's been around for a while. There's some characters that get bumped off here that I did not expect. Yeah, and I can't remember what the Cecil's second in command's name was, but yeah, we see him flying away. It's just a head.
Yeah.
Um,
They murdered. Well, they basically took over. They didn't murder everybody in Pentagon, but they
yeah,
took
he he destroyed it, and yeah, and then rebuilt it within like 2 days or something because of with his drones. But I love how they're having this. But I love how over all of this slaughter is just their conversation in the background, like him and
No,
her.
I like that too.
And then when he can't convince her, let's just jettison her into space.
He's like, yeah, you know. He's like, there's no point in struggling. I want you to remember you betrayed me first. He kisses her, and then, yeah, just like,
Face.
bye, see ya.
So messed up.
He's just something. I don't even know what to say to
But
like,
I don't even think he realizes like her like cheating on him like is his fault.
no, he does not. He
That
totally
was, like-
does not, like, the fact that he can't see the fact that he went too far in the other dimension and pushed her away.
Yeah.
And like, she was justified in leaving him. Maybe not cheating on him, but in leaving him.
Yeah.
She was justified in leading the revolt against him. She was justified. Like, he caused all that, but he can't see any of that. His ego, he's infallible. All his decisions are right. Like, I mean, even when he does, like, well, I should have been my mistake was I was merciful to Mark. Like he doesn't. Yeah, I went against my instincts. It was merciful. Therefore, he's right.
Oops,
and
I was emotional.
Yeah, everyone else is always wrong, which is, I don't care how smart you are. That doesn't happen.
Well, I love the parallels between Rex now and Omni-Man in the very first arc.
Yeah.
Killing all his allies and friends to, conquer the world, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, literally, Rex he carries out the same plan Omni-Man was, which was eliminate the biggest threats to stopping me as quickly as I can right off the bat. And, and then we see here, like, the threat that he knows he can't deal with, not easily. He basically goes and he's got a plan for that too. He goes and negotiates.
You're talking about Omni-Man.
Well, I'm talking about Rex goes and negotiates with Omni-Man, rather than, because he knows he can't, like, in a straight up fight, he's not convinced he can win. So he's basically like, okay, I'm going to make him an offer he can't resist because he's got low numbers. In the meantime, I guess why we're doing this, and I did skip over the fact that, like, this whole thing causes Eve to basically have to give birth a little bit early, and Mark's got a little girl. So what did you guys think about, like, Mark becoming a dad during this of all the days? What a day!
It was definitely like a steal, like a calm before, like, the return of the storm. And I thought it was like a kind of a heartwarming moment.
Well, I just thought, what kind of day is Mark having?
He's a hell of a one.
He got back from another dimension. Eve dumped him. He got raped. He fought Robot, kind of lost. Almost had Eve get killed in front of him by Robot. And now he has a little girl.
And his day still ain't over.
No.
It ain't over. He got to go. Robot's on his way.
I mean, it's just like.
Oh, and then his trauma just comes back as the young lady Viltrumite is there.
Yeah, she, like, comes up and, like
missed me.
Missed you, and he's like, yeah, he doesn't really do anything in this one. He like pushes her away. This time he just like he just keeps going because they're going to meet with Robot. So I just, it's all this stuff, and like Robot is doing like 100
Multiple
different
things.
things at once.
It's like, hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah,
and
he's
then
like,
he
I'm a
goes
little
like,
scattered at the moment. Give me, and it just shows like he's taken out. Like we
He's
see
like-
him basically destroy this threat, the Dr. Seismic. We thought this was going to be this big threat later in the story.
and he just
it's
rips it in half.
No.
He's talking with the president of the United States.
Yeah, while he's fighting Immortal and Duplicate and this monster underneath, and
he was gonna kill them too.
and having the conversation with Nolan, and it's just like, okay, good golly, man. Like,
and I'm not surprised with Nolan's reaction too. I'm just at this point.
Was anybody surprised that Nolan doesn't take the deal, or that Nolan does take the deal? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm honestly not surprised. It kind of goes with his logic.
I mean, for all the progress Nolan made, and I'm curious what the rest of you think, he still sees humans sort of as a means to an end. Like, if they're not the ones he directly cares about, they're still like the planet's still a means to an end. And like what Rex is doing doesn't necessarily like hurt his plan. So what do you think? What do you think, Unruly? What do you think about Nolan's decision here?
It's logical. He's still got to rebuild the strength of his people, and there's it's not a given that he can defeat Robot.
No,
I think they would, but how many more of the precious few pure Voltermites that are left would he lose?
Yeah,
and to me, I think he's looking at it long term. How long's Robot going to live?
Well, he's cloned himself once.
Yeah, but I just meant,
Yeah.
He's like, from my point of view, anyway, my thinking, he's thinking, right now is we don't have the numbers. We don't have anything. We live for,
1,000 years.
Thousands of years.
Yeah.
There'll be a time.
Will he be here in 1,000 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, how long is Robot actually going to last?
Let's get some numbers up and then, see if we can't plan something later on,
Yeah, he's playing the long game to a certain extent because to his perspective, is Robot like any leader you think about in the history of our planet, if they're in charge for 50, 60 years, that's a long time. Like, but that's a blink of an eye.
We didn't even talk about the tech that that Robot created. Like, you punch his armor, like it's on the same like sound length that the wavelength that the Viltrumite messes up.
That he's been using to like disorient. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like even if you hit the armor, you're basically getting that same thing. He doesn't even have to broadcast that.
No.
Sound.
It's because the metal makes that sound. It's on the same frequency.
Oh, I mean, he talked about that he wasn't ready, but he'd been planning clearly for
a while.
Basically since he got back. He'd been planning to take it.
If not before.
Yeah. And, he's been preparing for this day, knowing that the Viltrumites, this has all been. Well, I'm not talking about when he got back from the other dimension. I'm talking about when he got back from Flaxen. He's been planning this the whole time. From the moment he wasn't put in charge when he got back and he was just another one of the heroes that, So we also get to see Mark, and so to add to, as we talked about, Mark's day wasn't over, is basically Eve's like, okay, you're forgiven, now go kick his ass.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do we think of, not that we'd be surprised, but what do we think of Mark's reaction when he finds out what his dad has done?
He's like disappointed.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's lost, basically.
It's what can Mark do? He's one dude.
Yeah. I mean, that ultimately is where he ends up. Is he's on his own on this, like, and we see like the other heroes that we've gathered.
This part is messed up.
And are what is it? I forget what this guy's name. The guy that's been wearing the Invincible costume. What is his name?
I forget what his name is.
Bulletproof is.
Yeah, Bulletproof. Yeah,
basically, Bulletproof's all on board. He just he betrays them all and turns them right over to Robot to go to jail. I mean, like, which we've seen, he's a survivor. Like, he's gonna do whatever it takes. So, like, he's more than willing to, rat him out if it gets him to be free. But yeah, Mark becomes an army of one at this point. And Robot's just like, can we have a calm discussion? Like, I know I ripped your girlfriend's leg off, and and like,
but we could be simple.
Yeah.
Would an apology work?
Would an apology work? I didn't think so. Yeah. It's like I stranded you another dimension, and then I ripped your woman's leg off. Can I just apologize? He's so, as we talked about, he's so detached. Just, it's just kind of ridiculous. But Mark's really put in a completely lose situation.
Well, and I think Rex, Robot, whatever you want to call him, he's been through this before, right? On the other planet, and he thinks he's correcting his mistakes. He has zero doubts about what he's doing. No. I mean, he really is in another headspace that I don't think any of us can empathize with, truly.
No, I would agree. And, and the thing is, and like not all, but like most people that rise to power, like, it's not that everything he's trying to do is wrong. It's just like, but he's so convinced that, as we've all heard not that long ago, only I can fix it. That's never the case, but
I can fix it. I can fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, but he has like positive results. Even like they're talking about like there's so many positive things changing like in the U.S. alone, like or in the world alone.
No, he's doing things like, I mean, as we see later, he's doing things that are making people happy, at least initially. So
yeah,
and which is part of the reason Mark sort of just gives up. Like, but the other thing we do miss in here is he did negotiate. So after he threw her into space, caused her brain damage that the Viltrumites had to fix, then he's like, I want my girl back. He's like, even though she's in a coma, it's just like, and he broke up with her. Like, he can't let that go either. But, and we do see he does have some emotion left when he's thinking about her situation when she comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just very, he's convinced he's right, and you can't actually negotiate with him. And it puts Mark being on his own, basically, when Dad decided for peace, Mark really had nothing to stand on. He couldn't do it by himself.
Yeah.
Well, and like Robot said, with all the good I've done just in the past few days, if you was to kill me, they would kill you.
You're the bad guy. Yeah.
Well, and it does work, and the only people, which we'll come to in a minute, there's still a handful of people that want to fight him, and at this point, Mark's checked out.
Yeah, for sure. So we get to the end of that, and Mark basically surrendering, so to speak, and walking away. And then we jump to our man,
Battle Boost. This was done so well.
Oh my gosh.
It was done so well. You get like a piece of this battle and then like the main story, piece of this battle, main story throughout this whole volume.
Based on the way it's told, this like goes on for like weeks. Like these
So
two fight for a long time, and I
But
agree. Like
that's the battle that Battle Beast wanted, though. He
it's what
wanted
he's always wanted.
like
Like
an
he's
epic
been,
battle.
yeah. I mean, like this is the showdown he's wanted. Somebody that he could act that could. He's been wanting somebody that could actually potentially kill him, and so what? So Kirk and I are on the board that this was handled really well with the little vignettes spread throughout the rest of this book. What did you got? What did you think, Unruly, about how this fight is?
I loved everything about this battle. The art was spectacular. The couple of double page spreads where it's like Ragnar's well played.
Yeah.
And Battle Beast just throwing his entire life philosophy out there. I just want to fuck shit up until I get fucked up.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I want to die. I want to die in battle. It's very like warrior-esque, like Viking death. Kill me in battle.
Well, and and I love that. Like, in the two of them are both so self-assured and self-absorbed a little bit here. Like that they, when the Ragnar showed up, Battle Beast is pissed that like she released them, and he actually like probably cost himself the battle by wounding himself in the same way that Thrag's wounded, so that it's still an equal fight. And I love the look on his face. He's like, "Have you lost your mind?" But he's like, "All right, this is gonna be like." Both of them sort of, want this. It's they're like, okay, I want a challenge. But yeah, this whole this sequence here where they're looking at each other, and then that little panel with them in silhouette, followed by this, is just freaking spectacular.
That's like the best. Mm-hmm. These splash pages were like epic.
That I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of Otley stuff, but I don't know that it gets better than that. Like,
yeah,
that is such a sweet double page spread.
100%.
So, what about you, Damaris? What did you think of this fight and the way it's told?
Just epic. I mean, how long it goes. Just the back and forth. Just inching forward.
I mean, kind of this whole issue. This 115 is pretty much them fighting, or the start of their fight, followed by the reveal of why Thrag's where he's at. Is he's making a whole bunch of Olivers.
Basically, that reveal was so good.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the fight, they get the whole issue here, but the rest of it's just scattered through the rest of these issues.
Yeah.
Just they just keep going back to it. So you guys got anything else about this kickoff issue that you want to talk about? I mean, I just think the setup here is so good.
It was an epic battle, yeah.
Yeah.
The army of Olivers is going to be definitely something to contend with.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of them already, not to mention all the pregnant ones.
It takes about a year or two to develop him?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
So that's
going to be 3 to a year or 6 months or something is how long they live. So all of these, in just a few months, he's just cranking through the ladies, and he's pretty much been doing one thing since he got there. Right? This is what it appears.
Banging a lot of bugs.
Yeah. He is
a lot of bugs.
He's like, well, you guys are maybe the humans are more compatible, but it's going to take you a lot longer. It's going to take me. I'm going to outpopulate you. I'm not sure that's good for the genetic diversity of the Viltrumites, though. But
I'm amazed.
Worried about that right now.
No.
Omni-Man should have thought of that.
Should have, yeah. So then we go from this back to like domestic bliss, sort of. Well, I don't know about that, but Eve and Mark going to her parents for dinner, and I just love like mixed in is just a page of these two like.
Yeah, it's so good, so good.
I mean, I just love how they just keep going back to it. It's like elsewhere, and it's like a one-page thing. What do we think of all this? Like this whole sequence here of Mark back on Earth and Immortal coming to face him down, and like them trying to decide what to do. What do you guys think about the whole like sequence? It gets kind of slow there for a while, and then of course every so often we keep getting elsewhere. Like, I
just think whatchamacallit, Robot has the balls to like go to all these funerals that he caused.
Yeah.
I'm like, you dude, seriously?
Yeah, the only one who doesn't show up to is Cecil's, and that's because there's nobody knows who Cecil is. It's not a public.
Yeah, that's true.
The only reason he didn't go to it though was because it's not a big public thing where he can be seen. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Unruly had to go, I guess. Did I miss a message in the private?
No, I think it's probably internet, maybe.
Oh,
there's not in the private chat.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'll be back in a minute. But we are almost at our hour, so so ultimately, what it leads to is though him and Eve deciding to leave. That they got to go. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
There he's back.
I just tried to mute the screen for a second.
Wrong button. That's okay. So we're just talking about, the sequence where Mark decides that he can't not fight him, but he realizes it's a losing thing, so they're just gonna leave. What did you think of that, Adam? I'll start with you this time.
I mean, as much as I hate it, I can kind of understand it.
Yeah. I mean, they have
other
options.
You would always feel like you would be a target. You really can't do anything because you've got, an army of robots against you and no one helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you've got another place to go to where you'd be safe.
Well, and he knows that Robot won't have no qualms about going after his baby girl. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like, Robot's not gonna pull any punches. So
I just didn't think that Eve would be so on board with this decision to leave planet, but she jumped on board.
She did. That I would agree. That was a little surprising. What do you think, Unruly, of this whole decision to bail?
All right, I'm gonna sound a little sexist here, but I think mom mode is kicked in for Eve, and she just wants to see her baby grow up.
Yeah.
So of course she's going to go along with it, and it's the only logical choice to make. And isn't it convenient that he has that option?
Yeah.
Well, not everybody does.
No. Almost nobody else has that option.
Yeah.
I think going and visiting her parents didn't encourage them to stay at home any.
True. Well, and then they went and visited Immortal and Kate, and they're like, we're gonna put, they're wanting them to put everything on the line, and Eve's like, no, I'm gonna protect this little girl, and she's like, nobody would stand with us then, so I totally get it. I think you could argue that that they're sort of being cowards, that they're running from the problem, but I don't really blame them at this time. Like, what are they going to do? Unless they can get more, unless the Viltrumites change their mind, Mark really doesn't have a chance. So, Immortal can say all he wants, but they don't have enough manpower. They just don't. And,
But if they leave, it'll either, stay, it'll either get better on planet for everybody, like Robot says, which I don't believe will happen, but
For a while,
that's one thing that could
said,
happen, or it'll get worse, in which case the Vultramites then might be able to, willing to fight along with Alan and all of his people, if it gets that bad.
So then we get another little vignette back to these two idiots.
Yeah, they're still going at it.
And I love this. It's like Thrax at one point is like, "Is this the glory you've been seeking, maniac?" And he's like, "Yes." I love Battle Beast. But the other thing that we haven't talked about that we talked about earlier that's been going on during several of these situations is Eve trying to get Mark, to have sex.
Be intimate,
and Mark being like, no, and like pushing her away, and conveniently on a few of these getting like something else to come up where he doesn't have to explain himself, but like he's just like he can't do it, and or he
can't,
he's got a block. He's just like he can't. It's interesting. We'll get to it in a minute, but he's blaming himself more than anything, and he feels like he betrayed her.
Yeah.
Which I would have to assume is a natural reaction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of, and I can't speak from, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but like my understanding is a lot of women or men or who the people go through this is most of them end up blaming themselves. It's their fault. They didn't fight. Like he has the whole conversation here later of, I didn't fight back hard enough. I didn't do enough to try to stop it. And from my understanding, that's a very common feeling. So and yeah, and they do finally name her as they're leaving. We get Tara as a name. So it took them a little while, but
when you gonna name your baby?
Was that her mom that was like, when are you gonna name this child?
Yes. It's been weeks.
Little Third Rock.
Yeah, Third Rock.
Oh, that would be so good. Little Third Rock. What did you think of like the dad's reaction, Eve's dad's reaction of her leaving?
Oh, Nolan's?
Not Nolan's, no, Eve's dad.
I am curious. What did everybody think about Eve's dad, who's done nothing but sort of run her down? Like finally admitting how he actually feels about her. And so what did you guys think about that as she's leaving?
I thought it was like almost comical to put it for like Robert Kirkman to put that in there. Because even Eve was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Like, you really
grew. Thank you. And the mom was just like, my bad.
No. Or maybe not. I thought Unruly was going to say something. I thought I cut him off. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about in this sequence?
It's just like goodbyes.
Yeah, it's a lot of goodbyes. And then we get
I do like the alien's reaction because he thinks that all Earthlings are just banging all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, Can I come in? Is it okay? That was definitely funny.
Leave me alone. It's like, what? They're like very confused. And I do love like the little girl, like Mr. Allen, who's now thinks himself almost invulnerable. Like the little girl like punches him in the eyeball right off the bat.
She stooges him.
Yeah.
And I love how his guards are ready like to attack a baby.
What is this parasite?
But yeah, Alan's like, oh, that actually hurt. And then we get to see again, not too that much longer later, but how much Oliver continues to just like
his girlfriend. It's so ironic.
what did he date a bug? How is that ironic? Of course he's dating a bug.
It's his species, so it makes sense.
It's closer to his species than what like humans are. So yeah. I do like the fact that he's dating a bug is pretty freaking hysterical, honestly. And I have to say, the whole sequence of them getting used to alien food is just so ridiculous.
That was
like Mark,
like this is awesome.
Yeah, he loves it until he goes to the bathroom.
Poor Mark.
I can't. Like, I both can't believe Kirkman put that in there, and it's just hysterical, that whole sequence with him in the bathroom and Eve coming in to try to figure out how to like.
It's like, when did you do the toilet? like this is so embarrassing.
It's like, I don't know what to say. That came out of you. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at you the same again. Like, oh,
I think I broke it. You broke something.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, as a plumber, I've got to applaud alien technology.
Yeah.
With this toilet. Oh, you just push this button here. It's like a blender.
No, I didn't even peep that part.
It's like a garbage disposal in the toilet.
It's a garbage disposal in the toilet.
No. That is hilarious. And then we have Mark.
But then they finally have the talk.
Yeah, they finally have the talk after this of he finally tells her he comes clean, and but it's interrupted, of course, because they have a little scare of feeding a baby alien food, that like the reaction that she has. So they kind of get it split apart, but they finally have the talk, and we see, that Mark's blaming himself, that Mark and how Eve tries to handle it. What did you think of how they handled that whole sequence? We've talked about it a little bit, but start with Daymare this time. What did you think about that? How they handled that?
I think they handled it pretty well. I mean, it would be extremely difficult, to talk about and go through and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's beating himself up for not killing her. I mean, maybe he could have, but that's what it would have taken. He would have had to kill her.
Yeah. Because even she was saying, you gotten strong, but there's still no way you can take me down.
Yeah. Well, and I think so, and I will argue that like he might have stood a chance had he not the thing with Eve not just happened where he was already an emotional wreck before he was dealing with it. And he was thinking about that, he was thinking about Robot, he was already messed up, and then and he didn't really want to fight her. Like, he wasn't actually trying to, and that's what he's beating himself up for, because he didn't actually try to hurt her. He just wanted her to stop, and he didn't. And it would have taken hurting her to stop her. And he didn't really want to do that. And yeah. And I think, and she might be the more understanding than definitely most normal women, probably. But he's very lucky. Let's put it that way. The way she handles it, the whole sequence, I think, as well. So, hey, Schulte, what's going on? So, and then we get the finale of the fight finally.
Oh yeah.
And this whole page where he's like, and you can't read it, but he says, "Thank you." Like, he got what he wanted. Like, which is just crazy. I mean, well, he was always crazy, but yeah.
I mean,
And
he wanted to die like a warrior's death.
yeah, he wanted a warrior's death, and he didn't think he was going to get it. He didn't think there was anything that he could fight that would give it to him. And it appears that, Thrag is pretty well thrashed, but the other two, the have to retreat, so they can't go in and finish the job because the aliens are, of course, worship him like he's their leader. So Mark and Oliver get sent to find out what happened, and yeah, basically that Thrag supposedly left, which he did, but then. So what did you think about we got the Star Trek crew again? We got Next Generation crew.
I love them. They are hilarious.
I mean, you got pretty much the Data and Riker and the redheaded doctor, and I love that it's the Next Generation crew.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's
Well,
go ahead.
It all leads up to that awesome last page.
Yes, that's my favorite picture.
That I would give anything to own that puppy.
Oh, yes. Yes, so cool.
I mean, like
that was probably his most epic battle.
Yeah, I mean, he made his enemy into his
his Kingman's
cape. It's just it's sick and twisted and yeah. But ultimately, he didn't really see him as anything more than an animal, so he wears him like an animal skin, and it's just it's a little crazy. I will say, that reveal that he made it, and that he did fly away with all his kids, and it's basically just like a nonstop birthing chamber, even after he's been is crazy. And I will say, I do like that we spend a chunk of this final issue is on Mark the dad.
That was pretty cool. Just seeing him being a dad, and bonding with his daughter. I like that.
And getting the little cat out of the tree.
Oh my god, that was hilarious! Thanks, I thought these are delicious. These are hard. These are expensive.
And they've got no qualms about eating living things, and most of these species. Like when he's talking with Alan.
Yeah.
And this panel right here. Oh my god, they're delicious! Look at their little faces.
Yeah.
Like, no, please.
Oh yeah, that's like his favorite snack, right?
Eat us.
He's always eating those things, Alan.
Yeah.
That's
I love that he saves the cat out of the tree, and it's and they just she starts eating it, and he's like, it's an alien planet. It's an alien planet. And he's like, and it won't let us forget it. Oh, all right. Well, that is the end of this round of Invincible. You guys got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No.
All right, my alternate dimension self has read the next chunk.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I got to read that tonight then.
We'll get that scheduled here pretty quick. We are now through 10 of the 12 of these. So you guys have stuck with me. We're going to basically, the rate we're going, we're going to fit this in just under a year. So I really appreciate that. So, but overall, what were your thoughts on this volume as a whole? And then what are you hoping for coming forward? Damaris, let's start with you.
Another good, chapter, I guess, however you want to word it. Really liked the battle beast, battle spread throughout. There's just so much stuff crammed in there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
nonstop.
nonstop.
Yeah, Kirkman's it's just been a flurry, and like that one issue where it was him and Eve talking. How many of those have there been total out of 120 so far? Like three or four?
Well, I do think one of my favorite parts of this is the first half of this, because obviously this was spread. This is collecting more than one volume, what you would typically get, more than one trade.
Yeah.
The first part of this is all action with him returning and the Anissa stuff and the robot stuff. And the second half of this is a lot of Mark and Eve talking and dealing with family and all that kind of stuff. And he intersected all the Battle Beast and Thrag stuff in there. So that even though it's kind of slow, it's not slow because you still have this overarching fight going on in the background that we know is going to play a huge role going forward. And I just thought that was really, really well handled, the way he did.
I agree.
Kirk, what about you? Anything else you're thinking about for this? What were your final thoughts on this volume?
I love this, like the action, like robot taking over. I'm a big fan of like sci-fi movies or just movies in general not having a good ending, and that was kind of like one of those moments where it's like the bad guy wins.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I really want to see, and I'm really not saying that. Then I really want to see if that Mark from that other dimension, or if that robot that's in Mark's body comes back to take over this dimension.
I don't know.
Or is that because Kirkman usually comes back to little things like that.
He does bring back those kind of things, but I feel like that one we might not get a revisit there, but who knows? I could be completely wrong on that. But I'm mostly looking forward to, like, I feel like, I don't know, there's 2 volumes left, and I feel like it's basically got to be Bragg, it's got to be Robot, and maybe or some combination. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this plays out. We're in the end game at this point, so I'm looking forward to it. Unruly, you got any final thoughts about this story other than?
I'm looking forward to finishing it again.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, I want to thank Schulte and Dre and Tacoma and anybody else and 9 Square Inches, anybody that hung out with us for a little bit or is still hanging out. Thank you for doing that. We are most of the way through Invincible, and I am still really, really enjoying it. So thanks for hanging out. We'll be back for 2. We got 2 more of these to do. So thanks, everybody, and we will catch you later.